Alright, here comes the second cast of Rise. There'll be a delay on the stream, so come early if you can. Alright, there we go. I've just cast it. I'm trying to get out of combat now. I don't know how hard that's going to be with a billion minions. But let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Go, 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 go. Spam, 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 spam. I'm not even going to look. There we go. We're through. Alright, baby. Oh my god, look at that tight little ball of horrors there. Look at that tight ball of horrors.
I'll remember
Oh my god.
you nameless thing.
People be impressed by us. Oh my god. Hey everybody, welcome to another video. So today I wanted to show off something kind of amazing we were doing during Beta Weekend Event 3. Now unfortunately the Beta Weekend Event is over, and this is a build about an elite specialization, so we'll have to do a little bit of a fiddle around. But what I want to talk to you all about is a Reaper build, specifically built around minions. Now this is, as you saw from that clip a second ago, and clips that I'll be adding through in this video, this is kind of the ultimate minion build. If you miss the kind of huge zergs that Guild Wars 1 Minion Masters could get, or maybe you've played something that does a lot of summoning in other games, Guild Wars 2's always felt kind of lacking. Why? Well, you're always just kind of limited, right? It's like, okay, just take 5 minions on your skill bar down here, and then you're kind of done. And then if you want to be competitive with it specifically, stuff like the Blood Fiend, really when you get to a high level, just doesn't cut it. People focus it, kill it. You need the Condi Cleanse, for example, from Consume Conditions, and that's another minion that's gone. And it just doesn't really feel as flavorful as it could, or at least especially how it did in the first game. And I think a big part of this is just that you can't generate these overwhelming number of minions. Why? Well, ArenaNet did something pretty important with a mechanical change with minions in this game. Minions, most of them, at least at the launch of the game, didn't degen health. The only variety of minion that degens health are small minions called Jagged Horrors that really don't contribute much in the first place. Well, things have changed when it comes to the Reaper. A lot of people would have been looking at Condi Reaper builds that utilize perhaps the new chill damage trait. A lot of people, of course, have been really looking at Glassy Zerk high damage Reaper builds. Some people will have even been looking at Bruiser specs, which I think are really the main ones we've been seeing be very effective in PvP. But the funny one that I really wanted to look at was Minion Master Reaper. And you might be thinking, well, Wooden Potatoes, why would you want a Minion Master Reaper? The Great Sword you get doesn't have any minion skills on it. The Death Shroud you get doesn't have any minions on it. No traits have any synergy with minions. What is there? Well, the truth is there's a single ability. It's a shout named Rise. Now, in Beta Weekend Event 1 and in Beta Weekend Event 2, this thing wasn't particularly impressive. It used to just summon more of these Jagged Horrors, these little creatures, which I guess I'll show you in a second. And these things, as I say, were kind of useless. But they've changed it now to summon what are called Shambling Horrors. Funny enough, Shambling Horrors, as you can see here, was a skill in Guild Wars 1, my favorite minion skill from the first game that wasn't the elite anyway. Back then, they were kind of these fleshy blob things that when they died, they would resummon themselves, and they'd have to be killed again. And then that would have interesting synergy with other Necromancer stuff, where they could benefit from the death of the minions. Like, you'd kind of get 2 minions on one skill. Well, Shambling Horrors have returned to Guild Wars 2 through Rise, and the skill is very interesting. An idea of the Reaper is that they do better when they're outnumbered. And specifically, Rise plays into this as a shout. When you use it, whether you hit a target or not, it will always summon 1 Shambling Horror. But if you hit targets with the shout, and it can hit up to 5 targets, it will summon additional Shambling Horrors. So if you use it and slam 5 targets, that's 6 minions, all on that skill itself. Now, you might think, oh my god, that's completely overpowered. 6 minions on just 1 skill? Well, here's the thing that ArenaNet did to balance it. The Shambling Horrors, much like Jagged Horrors, also degenerate health over time. So while you have a lot of minions, they're constantly dying. And you kind of get in this situation where the longer a fight goes on, you can continue to spam this ability and summon a big army for yourself, but once the combat's over, they kind of all just melt away. You can't summon a high number of new ones, and there's this really kind of cool momentum that plays into the minion build now. And it's got some spectacular results, as you can see, when you summon just an ungodly ton of them. In fact, under perfect scenarios, on your own, with enough targets around you, you can maintain 20 plus minions. Yeah, that's no joke. And when we look at the traits in a second, you'll see why that's got some pretty cool synergy. Another interesting change, something I've been playing with, is a very recent change to the way that transforms work for the Necromancer. I guess a long time ago, ArenaNet were a little worried about stuff like Plague Form being this incredibly tanky skill that you could summon a ton of minions and then just camp in Plague Form and your minions would do all the damage or something. I don't know. This is really old, archaic design on the Necromancer that basically meant when you use a transform, it would destroy all your minions. Added some kind of interesting counterplay because you could mower a minion monster and kill all of their minions straight away as an opponent of one. But it meant that, really, if you're a minion master, all you ever used to be able to run was the Flesh Golem. Well, now, you actually can run Lich Form. Lich Form has, on its skill 4, this ability here, which summons 5 Jagged Horrors. And you can just cast it on someone, and it will trigger. And these 5 Jagged, even if someone dodges into this mark for what it's worth. Now, these 5 Jagged Horrors are kind of cool. They got minion synergy, but it used to be that Lich Form would destroy your minions to go in it. So you'd literally trade your good, decent minions that weren't constantly degenerating health, that actually accomplished stuff, had active abilities. You trade those minions plus a Flesh Golem, right, permanently, for the chance to summon 5 Jagged Horrors. It just was never worthwhile. Well, now you can have your cake and eat it too. I don't know necessarily whether Lich Form is the best thing to run on a minion build now. Flesh Golem is kind of a permanent minion now, while Lich Form allows you to, every 3 minutes, like, spike up a lot more minions. But here's the benefit of the Jagged Horrors. It's not really the damage they do on their own. It's these fields that they drop when they die. And these fields will be dropped by every minion you create. So, I'm going to show you guys the build, and then we'll talk about the true limits that we can push this to, and some of the incredible stuff that I showed off on the Twitch stream, and even where this could find some use in raids. So, I'm using PvP here, not necessarily because I consider it a PvP build. I mean, it will have some success in PvP. You'll see me fighting some people in PvP right now in the video. You know, you can do okay. You can get really decent sustain. One thing that minion masters have always been good, they've been very vulnerable to CCs, but they can be very tanky, very sturdy, and as said, allow the minions to, you know, push out that damage for them, and they'd be kind of good in small fights. Tends to be in big team fights. A lot of your minions get cleaved down and you kind of end up a little useless, but you know, for pushing far or staying on home, sometimes it can be okay. Anyway, this isn't necessarily a PvP build. This is great fun for wandering around. When Heart of Thorns comes out, going in the jungle, one of the things I thought I'd be doing as a Reaper as I ran around was kind of the flat damage thing, but I don't think I will. I think I'll be going for this kind of crazy, ridiculous minion idea, just because you can kind of run around with an army of your own, and obviously there's the crazy idea of using it in World vs. World 2 on an entire Zerg, but you know, that's a novel concept and not a new one. So here's just basically how I'm demoing it in PvP for you guys. I went with whole rack runes. These you could maybe change for something else. I took it because it reduces the condition damage on me. But actually, if you run some different runes, you can keep that condition damage very high on you, and your minions will transfer that stuff off, which I'll show you in a second. And then I just went for the tankiest amulet, okay, the Sentinel amulet. Max Vitality is the main stat, and then toughness as well, with a little bit of power on there. Another really nice option, though, is because you don't actually summon minions on your weapon skills, you can, in theory, run Condi weapons. Now, I love Staff, but you can run like a Condi weapon set here. I've gone with Dagger, Warhorn just for a bit of mobility. The ability to root players is nice to get the minions all in their face. But, you know, you can run pure Condi, and actually a really nice amulet to do under that situation is, and bear with me here because it's true, is the Settler amulet. Again, very tanky because it's toughness major, but you get condition damage on there, which is a stat that gives you high damage even without, you know, investment in other stat lines like precision or ferocity, and you have healing power. This healing power is going to be really important because it means your shambling horrors or your jagged horrors, as they are running around with you, you can continue to keep healed up. And there's a lot of abilities in the game that allow you to do this. Like, for example, you may have wondered, and I genuinely think this is why the design exists, you may have wondered why the Mark of Blood applies regen. It's probably for minion builds. It's probably because you can focus on that regen and you can help keep your jagged horrors and stuff up when you run this amulet. Or when you kind of go for that kind of Healy playstyle. And we have further traits to help that out. So, we're going to be a Reaper, of course, and I'll talk about the Reaper line in a second. But the other two lines we want are going to be Blood Magic and Death Magic. Death Magic buffs our minions. Blood Magic allows us to sustain them. And because so many of our minions you're seeing in this video are minions that atrophy in health, that makes Blood Magic all the more useful. So Blood Magic, for example, means that when I'm in Death Shroud, if I use my 4, I can heal my minions up. Now, Jagged Horrors, you know, are one thing to heal up, but when these are Shambling Horrors that we're healing, that's far more useful. You can even trait to give good downstate support to allies as well when it comes to PvP. So this is what you're going to take. You're going to take Quickening Thirst, which helps with your dagger if you're running that. If not, take Blood Bond, which will cast Lesser Signet of Vampirism on your foe. And what's really cool about Blood Bond is most Necromancers... So this is your heal, okay? Most Necromancers don't like this skill because it never, like, drains all the way down, all right? Like, each proc of it has got an internal cooldown per target. So, in order to fully get the use out of this signet, okay? Wait, no, don't activate that. In order to get full use out of the signet, you actually need 6 targets hitting a single enemy. But that's really hard to do under a conventional build. So here you see when we attack, basically what this means is we're going to mark this guy, for those who really don't know. And now every time it gets attacked by minions or us, it's going to drain those stacks and they steal health as they strike. And so you can trait to have this passively proc, and this is really good when you have an army of minions around, because the armies will take that health, keep themselves up, the shambling horrors, and it will just be extra damage, just a high spike of extra damage every time you put a certain number of bleed stacks on people, which you will put on people because your jagged horrors are applying those bleeds, and because you'll be transferring a crap ton of them back. You may even have it on your weapon skills. So this is actually really, really powerful, maybe even more powerful than the dagger one. I just like the synergy of this. The other one is the Well of Blood when you start reviving, but I wouldn't bother with that. There is no question on this slot for me, is Vampiric Presence. This, again, allows all of our allies to gain a buff. This is Vampiric Aura. So not only will they siphon health when the Signet of Vampirism goes off, they will also siphon health just always with their Vampiric Aura. Again, helps them sustain themselves as long as they can get stray hits in. And both the Signet and that Aura will stack together. So that's incredible, one of the most important things about this. Our dodge rolls, by the way, we're here, also drop Marks of Blood, which is more regen for them. And then for the Grandmaster as well, I would say there's absolutely no real decision here either. Transfusion. And this is what makes your skill 4 heal your minions. And this is what allows you to teleport allied bodies. And so there's a natural, reasonable amount of skill cap to this. If an ally's down, you can use your skill 4 as a Reaper, and you will actually blink them out of Stomp, and then you can res them. And you'll have a lot of Death Shroud because there's a lot of minions and things dying constantly, and you tend to be able to have that little bit of support. So Blood Magic, in my opinion, is absolutely essential. Helps you maintain this overwhelming army of minions as long as you stay in the thick of things. All right, and then, of course, we got Death Magic. This just buffs our minions. It's very basic. Just take fully across the top. So we get Toughness while in Shroud, we get Passive Life Force regeneration, and we get Protection, which we can give to our minions as well. So as you can see there, so if you see a big spike in, maybe you can drop Protection on them. I've never really played with that, to be honest. And so for the top traits, I'm going to go back to front. Okay, so first one is this really important one. This is Death Nova. This does a lot of things for us. Number one, it means when we score a kill, which we'll kill this medium golem because we've got a guy helping us. When we score a kill, we automatically summon a Jagged Horror out of the body. Or we should. I don't know why that didn't spawn there. But we summon Jagged Horrors when we score kills. Maybe it's because we didn't qualify, or these guys don't give experience, so it might not work on these golems. But right now we've got 2 Bone Minions up from our actual skill here. But when an enemy dies, we can summon Jagged Horrors out of them when they're actual enemies. Not so great in PvP, but great in PvE, in World vs. World. And you can basically have 2. So this is another 2 Jagged Horrors for you, just straight up. But the really important thing is that when things die, they explode, doing damage, and they drop poison fields. So here's what's really important about this. When we see these Jagged Horrors die, as long as the golem's not dead before they do, when we see, and they apply bleeds on their eyes, as you can see here, which does end up chunking quite a lot. You're never, in PvP, you're never going to go a player that stands there stationary that can be hit like this, but fine. We'll come over to the heavy golem and let them go for that. When they die, they're going to drop poison fields. We're going to get 5 poison fields out of this from this Lich form. So it's kind of like a big delay on your big payoff. Please don't attack the golem, please. It's kind of like a big delay on your payoff on your skill. Oh, no. Wait. All right, come over to the light golem. Come, Jagged Horrors. Here we go. And when you see they all blow up, because poison now stacks intensity, we're going to get really heavy poison go out. Now, these guys don't have much condi damage. Well, he blew up and died straight away. Look, there's a lot of poison going on here, guys. There's 5 poison fields, all of them ticking poison. So you get up to 30 stacks, 40 stacks, 50 stacks of poison without doing anything else. Just because your minions are dying. You know, if you have all of your minions up and someone does opt to go for that huge explosion, then they can do some serious damage to themselves. And that's really one of the most fun things about this entire build for me. Moving on. A very basic trait here. This just makes our minions do more damage, but also means they steal condis from us. And then, when they attack, they transfer them over. So this actually has a really good matchup against players who inflict a lot of condi damage. It's just they're going to drain through your minions quicker, and they'll be basically condiing themselves. And then there's this trait as well, which is actually really interesting. this is that minions have increased health, okay? And it's also, we gain bonus toughness for every minion we control. Now, that bonus toughness is only plus 20. And, I mean, the 50% health increase is incredibly important for our minions. But the bonus toughness really isn't that great, like, honestly. For most builds, most pre-existing minion mounts builds. But this one creates such overwhelming numbers that you end up with incredible amounts of toughness. You can be up easily around 3,000 toughness at all times. The trait actually doesn't say it on the tooltip, but it's capped. So you'll continue summoning minions, and under perfect situations, this will eventually cap out and you can keep summoning more. But yeah, so Flesh of the Master is really cool as well, and just adds a whole ton more sustain to you. Alright, so with that said, we of course then have the Reaper line that we need to get. So I'm just going to go to that Shaman's build calculator. Here we go. And we're going to look at Reaper on here. Hopefully this is up to date. If it's not, I'll just tell you guys what the relevant stuff is. So the most important Reaper trait, as I say, there's really not that much synergy, but the most important Reaper trait is this top one here, which is Augury of Death. Your shouts recharge faster for each foe they hit. This is actually even better than it's explained on this calculator these days. It's even better. But so what this means is this counters one of the biggest problems with the build. The shout that we're using to summon our 6 shambling horrors at a time actually has a very high cooldown. But if you do manage to push it when and hit all 5 targets, it reduces the cooldown to something very reasonable, something around 20 to 30 seconds. And so it's really this idea that if you are overwhelmed, you start to overwhelm then. You keep rolling up and bigger and more numbers amass to your side, and you can spam that ability more frequently. It's instant activation. It's easy to score the strikes. And it kind of introduces some interesting stuff in PvP where you like seeing Mesmers with lots of Phantasms, for example, because they just give you free minions. This is incredibly important as a trait. Beyond that, you're a little bit more free to do what you like. I'm pretty sure that I was running the Striking Chilled Foes grants Might, and then further I was running Faster Attacks 1 in Reaper Shroud. But you could also go gain Life Force while you have a boon, try and keep high chill uptime, and then get lots of Might on top of all this tankiness and minion nonsense that you've got going on there. So that's kind of just the way that Reaper works. Really doesn't have too much synergy, but just those two things completely blow open what this build is capable of. And here's the most interesting thing. While that trait I was just speaking about is capped at the amount of toughness it gets you, the actual number of minions you can control is not. So, on the stream, we did something really kind of fun. We came over to this area, and I won't be able to demo it to you guys. We came over to this area with all these target golems. We got a bunch of Reapers running the build after I'd shown people what I'd created. We came over here, we stood in the middle, we had some druids for massive amounts of healing power, and we just kept spamming the shout. 6 targets every time. 6 targets, 6 targets, 6 targets. And we had people healing the shambling horrors. Under regular gameplay circumstances, this is never going to account for anything. But for us here, we were actually able to summon an ungodly amount of minions. We probably had like 70 to 100 minions per Reaper that was in the area, just constantly maintained. What I was actually really impressed by, you might think, oh my god, Wooden Potatoes, that's completely broken. ArenaNet are totally going to nerf that. What I find really interesting is, because this doesn't really have, and I doubt ever will have, a real place in any gameplay in the game, right? Like this weird situation where you can continue just tagging tons of targets that never move, never die, and have people just freely healing your shambling horrors all the time. I don't think it's actually going to impact any real gameplay. So why would they nerf it? Well, they would probably put a cap on the number of minions because of server infrastructure worries. And the funny thing is, we had like a whole stream worth of people all spamming the hell out of this. Each necromancer there, let's assume, just had like 30 minions. There were hundreds of entities here. There wasn't any lag at all. I think some people got a little bit of client-side lag, but in terms of the way Heart of the Mist was running and stuff, it was absolutely fine. So that's been really, really interesting to see. I think this is probably the most fun Minion Master-ish kind of build I have ran ever, even including Guild Wars 1 stuff. And I'm really, really thrilled and excited by this whole capless style to it. We'll see how the devs monitor it going forward. And this may have some application in the really high-end stuff too. So earlier in the video, I did say this, you didn't mishear me, that this could have a place possibly in raids. Now, I'll talk more about this in a future video where we talk about the mechanics of the raids. I streamed about 9 hours of that today. That's why my voice is going a bit hoarse. But one thing that's really interesting that I never realized is ArenaNet designed that encounter to have a place for minions. This doesn't just mean necromancer minions, it means just general AI. But ranger pets, engineered turrets, gyros, spirit weapons, all that stuff actually were counting for one of the mechanics in the raids. And there could potentially be some reason to actually run something like this in the other encounters too, even though, you know, a build like this certainly wouldn't be very good for the encounter we currently saw. So it's interesting that ArenaNet seem to have that kind of stuff on their minds, and it certainly has some interesting stuff to offer. The real thing that I want to highlight to you guys absolutely is how sustaining this can be. You not just are capable of running like really defensive stuff on yourself, but you also get the stacking toughness from all your minions that come out, and the shambling horrors themselves don't just run around auto-attacking. You might think, well, what do they even do? What, they're just random minions that run around and blow up when they die? Death Nova, for what it's worth, as you saw, has a lot of flat damage, not just this, you know, high-stacking poison. But actually, the Shambling Horrors, they give you a thing called Dark Bond, which reduces the incoming damage you take, and it gets shared to them instead. So that stacks onto everything else you already had, and just gives you ungodly amount of resistance. Actually, I think by stacking the Shambling Horrors with protection, with Frost Aura, and with some other Necromancer traits, like for example, take less damage against poison foes, you can get like 100% resistance to damage. Yeah, that's right. There's some phenomenal, crazy stuff here. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed these highlights from the stream. I may leave you with a clip or two, but thanks very much for watching. Try it out when Heart of Thorns. Let's see if it does continue to exist in the state. But certainly a very exciting build. I hope you guys enjoyed the insight and what I had to say. I'll see you next time. This is actually the greatest skill. I think this is my favorite skill that's been added in all of the elite specializations. The best utility skill. I can't think of one that's more fun. It just scales and scales and scales. Oh my god, look at them all! Look at them all! How many people do you think we even have here? I don't know when to stop. When do we stop? Do we just keep going? I feel like if I'm going to stop, I'm going to regret stopping. As much as I want the payoff and to... The indestructible golem's getting it. Oh, Jesus Christ. The thing is, if we got attacked now, we have so many shambling horrors. If we got attacked now, we would take just like no damage, because each of them's taken 50% of our health. Summon more stuff. I'm not going to do it until I see 3 clones out. There's 2. One more. Come on. Come on. Where's your illusionary? Oh, you're running wells and stuff, bro. There. That's it. That's it. That's it. Rise! Come, my jagged horrors! Come! Swarm him! Destroy! The Chaos Storm can't even hit me because all of the 5 target caps. That's amazing. Oh, he doesn't even know he's actually outnumbered properly. Oh! Your wells do nothing to me. Absolutely nothing. Oh, baby. I'm using the 4 mostly to heal my minions, which is pretty cool. Down he goes. Can't I press a button to show all enemies, right? Wait, hold on. It's going to be tricky to keep this going. Let's keep this going. What is it? It's, show ally names. We'll go control for now. Oh, there we go. Oh! There we go. Oh my god, look at that. Alright, I'll go for the decap. Look, he's scared. He left. He's scared. He doesn't even realise I don't do very much, but he's scared because of all of this crazy nonsense here. He's like, oh, the whole team's here. I gotta go. I wonder if this guy's like, nope, I'm not gonna fight at that node. Look at him. Look. He's actually dropping marks, and it's not doing anything to me. Oh, I used Rise just before this guy came in. I am now the one who is outnumbered. Give me that stab. I need it. Death's charge! Kill the bastard! Yeah! Blinds, transfer. Fear him off. Oh, this is so good. This is amazing. The condies are pretty interesting as well, because the minions transfer condies. So it's got quite interesting pressure coming out.